All right, so I've built dozens and dozens of real estate sales teams, and here are some of the most common objections and their handlers that we receive. I'll be making this video 10, maybe 20 minutes long, covering over all of these objections and exactly what to say, how to say it to get your prospect to move forward. Number one, we are no longer selling or accepting offers. Just a quick high-level overview before I start this video. The main premise of all these objection handlers is you have to have confidence and you have to know that you're it, right? You're the one that they need to help them sell this home. If you don't have that mindset, it's going to be very, very hard to speak with confidence to these sellers. So number one, we're no longer looking to sell. We're not accepting offers anymore. Okay, so you're just going to leave it off the market for now. Just generally sound curious, right? They're probably going to say, well, if they say yes, then conversation is over. But if they're normally going to say, if you sound curious, like you're almost going to be a buyer, they're going to say, well, I mean, we'd still accept, offers though. And then you say, I'm just curious, Bob, if you were absolutely confident that your house would sell, would you consider even putting it back on the market now? And then, some might say yes. Lead's probably going to say, no, I'm really not selling though. And you got to really dive into exactly what they're saying and tie into what their response. So I completely understand that you wouldn't want to sell, and considering you had it on the market for so long and it didn't sell already. So there's a reason for you to think all of a sudden there's no way to sell it, right? Here's what I'm thinking though, Bob, and you're under no obligation whatsoever, but whether you sell this property now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, considering you had it on the market and it didn't sell, I'd love to speak sometime in the future for just 20 minutes and just show you what it would take to actually get this property sold this time around. And if you're ready to sell it, great. If not, totally fine. Once again, no pressure or obligation on your end. Just want to be able to share with you kind of what we do differently compared to all these other agents to actually get these properties sold in today's market. Because while your home was while your home was up for sale, we've been able to sell multiple properties just like yours. And I'm just shocked that it didn't sell. And then would tomorrow work better or the day after? So you pretty much want to confirm what they've said by saying, I completely understand where you're coming from. I get it, right? No longer accepting offers. I wouldn't want to either after such a bad experience if it expired. And then you kind of slowly lead into your pitch and make it very low obligation, right? We're on the cold call. We don't have to sell them on this call. Our goal is to get in person with them, right? Next one, call me if you have a buyer, but I'm not listing, right? Very, very common for a lot of expireds, canceled, stuff like that. Bob, I can appreciate the offer and I completely understand why you wouldn't want to list the property. I mean, you already did that and it didn't work. So why would you want to do the same thing again? And at the same time, since you're offering to pay a commission, if I happen to have a buyer, it sounds like even though you don't want to list the property, you're still interested in selling it, right? Everyone's going to say, yes, I do still want to sell it. If you have a buyer, bring it by. Great. So here's what I propose, Bob, and you're under no obligation whatsoever, but I'd love to set something up for us to speak sometime soon in the future for about 20-ish minutes to show you exactly what we do to find multiple buyers for the properties that we list and how we'd be able to find the buyer specifically for your property. And obviously, I get it. You probably don't want to list, so we don't even have to have that conversation if it's not something that piques your interest. But I'd at least like to show you how we can actually get this sold. Something along those lines where, once again, you're tying into what they want. If they want a buyer, right, then you can bring a buyer by, but you got to list the property. So you can bring multiple buyers by and drive that price up, etc. And then they might say, well, if you don't want to find the buyer, then just find them and call me. I'm not interested in listing. Totally fine. I appreciate what you're saying, Bob. And you sound like a very smart man, right? I'm sure that you'd agree with finding a buyer for your property. In this case, for your property isn't all that easy, right? I mean, your home was on the market for XYZ amount of days and it didn't sell, right? That's because it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort and money to find the right buyer for your property. And again, I know you're not looking to list the property and I can respect that. But if I was in your situation after many months of being on the market and not selling, I wouldn't be interested in listing with another agent either. Because I'm sure you're thinking all agents are the same. All they do is just waste my time. And I understand and respect that. So you're validating what they're saying. Then you say, I'm still proposing, Bob, they just give me 20 minutes of your time. And I promise you, I'm not going to waste a second of it. And at the end of our call, whatever you decide from there is perfectly fine. But I promise you that you'll see exactly why your property didn't sell and what it's going to take to actually get it sold this time around. Are you open today or tomorrow to have that conversation? You're just doubling down. Sometimes you got to push through multiple layers of objections to get to that root cause. You're taking what they said and you're saying, I agree with that. You're right. What about this? You don't want to come from a combative state of, no. Well, if you don't list, you're going to do it. Like, they don't want to hear that, right? They don't want to get combated against. They want you to understand what they're going through. And then they want you to pitch a corresponding offer that isn't so, you got to be on their side of the table is the best way to explain it. And when most agents are coming from the opposite side of the table, like you're almost arguing with them. Next, I'm going to relist with the same agent or a friend in the business. And I can totally respect that. I mean, I don't personally know your previous agent, but I can imagine that if you're considering relisting with them, I'm sure he or she is a really good agent. And at the same time, Bob, since you had the property on the market for so long and it didn't sell, I mean, I'd like to speak with you for just like 20 more minutes sometime in the near future before you make a final decision to relist with the same agent, just to get a second opinion and share with you what we do differently compared to the other agents to actually get the property sold in today's market. Does today work or tomorrow better? You really want to inflect. You don't want to say that their agent's bad, but you really want to inflect that. Before you make a final decision, since the property didn't sell when you had it listed with them last time, I think it would be valuable to get a second opinion. Most people will say yes to this, surprisingly. But let's say you say, the lead says, yeah, but they're going to do something different now. They're going to take it. I'm relisting with the same agent. They're going to have a different approach now. Like we got it. And I completely hear you, Bob. And don't you wonder why they didn't just do that the last few months while the property was listed? I mean, here's what I'm thinking, right? And just so you can be sure at this time that your home will sell, I'd like to speak with you a little bit more, just for like 20-ish minutes in the future, before you make a final decision, to show you what we do differently from other agents to get the property sold in today's market. And at the end of the conversation, you can decide what's best for yourself. But I at least want you to have that second opinion, because I feel that if this agent had it listed before, they should have probably already been doing some of these things. You're really trying to get the lead to second guess, why are they listing with the same agent? It doesn't make sense. They had a chance to sell it and they didn't sell it. So therefore, now it's time for another agent who knows what they're doing to come in and get the job done, right? Next, we sold the house already. This one's very easy. Oh, darn. I mean, I was really hoping it was still available. When did you sell it? If you say that with super quick confidence, you're going to catch a lot of people in a lie, right? Because when you cold call, a lot of people will say already sold. It's not already sold, right? So they'll be like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, we're just not looking to sell right now, but if you have an offer, you can bring it by. Conversation opens back up, right? That one's pretty simple. I don't want to work, or I don't want to list with an agent. And I can totally respect that, Bob. I mean, can I propose something real quick? They says, sure. Perfect. Well, I don't blame you at all for not wanting to list again, especially because you had the property on the market for so long and it didn't sell. But you're still wanting to sell, correct? They're going to say yes. Okay, and all I'm proposing is, a quick no obligation conversation with us just in the near future to show you exactly what we do to get the property sold the second time around with no commitment to list or anything, but just in this way you can actually get fully informed on how to sell your property and how it should have went. So, what you can do is at least see your options moving forward. Because if you still want to sell, it's still a possibility. Does tomorrow work or the day after be better? This is really, it's very simple frameworks, right? I don't want to list. You validate that. I completely understand where you're coming from. Can I chuck in a second opinion? They're going to say yes if you say it in the right way. And then you give your second opinion, not pushing too hard, but you still want to be able to get them interested enough to where it's like, it's got to be a no-brainer to have a conversation with you, right? And that's how we're normally pitching these. Next one is, we're not sure what we want to do next. And that's perfectly fine. My job is to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. I guess I'm curious, when you originally had put it on the market a few months ago, the home is lovely and it's in a great geographical area. Was there any particular reason you even considered selling? Now they're going to give you motivation, right? And motivation is going to help you see what they could potentially do next, right? And then you get right back into the conversation. You're there to help them decide what to do next. If they don't know what to do next, that's great. That's why you're on the phone with them. Number 7, can't you just tell me over the phone, right? You go to book a meeting and they say, can't you just tell me over the phone? I'd love to be able to share that with you over the phone. And at the same time, I wouldn't be able to demonstrate and prove to you specifically what it is that we're doing to help these sellers in this challenging market, just like you accomplish their goals and objectives. And it's very difficult for me to give a clear picture without diving underneath the hood and potentially seeing, the property in person after we speak more. So I'm wondering, if we were under normal circumstances, would tomorrow or the day after be better? This is, if they don't want to meet with you or set up an appointment and they say, can't you just tell me over the phone? Can't you just call me back? You really want to push even deeper, push 2, 3, 4 times to try to get that in-person appointment, because that's your best chance at converting, is meeting them face to face. Why won't you just stop calling me? I understand that you've been very popular today. That's for sure. And I'm imagining your intention when you woke up today was not that. So I'll be sure to take you off my list. But I was wondering though, while I have you on the phone real quick, one last question. Your home's lovely. It's in a great geographical area. What originally had you put it on the market in the first place? And any particular reason you were even considering selling? This is super, super good because when you're calling expireds, especially the same day, expireds, you're calling today's expireds that have came in, they're going to be getting a lot of calls. So you got to joke around. I understand you've been very popular today, you're not too combative. And I'm imagining that wasn't your intention. You're putting out on the plate exactly how they're feeling. And then you're saying, I'll be sure to take you off my list, right? You're on their good side now. And then from there, you just say, well, I've got you on the phone real quick. One last question. Now they can see the end of the call because you said one last question. And then you say your home's in a great geographical area, da-da-da. You're trying to find motivation why they even listed in the first place, and that way you can keep the conversation going. The biggest thing is keep the conversation going. You should never hang up a conversation unless they hang it up. How did you get my number? Great question, Bob. We got your number from the public records that show us that your property expired recently. Is that true? And if so, what happened? Right back into the conversation. I'm busy right now. Oh, apologies that I called you at a bad time. I can always call you back, but if you got one quick minute, that's pretty much all it would take. Back into the conversation or call them back. What do you do differently? And Bob, that's a great question, right? Probably one of the most important questions that you need an answer to, right? That's exactly why I'd like to set up a time, to meet with you and speak for just about 20 minutes in the near future to show you exactly what we do differently in today's current market to find buyers for the properties we list. And because that's ultimately what you're looking for, is an agent who knows how to find that buyer for your property. Does tomorrow work or today better? Very, very easy. Once again, you comply with what they say. So, that's a great question. Probably one of the most important questions you should ask. That's exactly why we're going to meet, right? Very easy. Why are you asking so many questions, right? So you might get in the conversation and somebody says, why are you asking so many of these questions? Apologies, Bob. I'm just trying to grab as much information as possible on your current situation with 123 Main Street so that way we can give our best help in any way possible. I mean, I'd love to set something up in the future to talk further on this if you got more time later. Boom, set the meeting. I already have an agent, and I can totally respect that. Quick question: Are you working with them as an under contracted, or just speaking with them and they're kind of guiding you? This is super important to ask because some people will say they're working with an agent, but they're not in contract, right? So you always got to ask if they're in contract. If it's in contract, then you stop. Obviously, you don't want to step on anyone's toes. If they're just speaking with another agent, but they haven't signed anything, you say, I personally don't know your agent, but I can imagine that if you're already working with them, I'm sure he or she is a very good agent. And at the same time, Bob, since they had your property in the market for so long and it didn't really sell before, I'd love to speak more with you for just about 20-ish minutes in the near future before you make that final decision to relist with that agent, just to give you a second opinion and share what we do differently from other agents to actually get property sold in today's market. Does tomorrow work or the day after be better? Boom, set the meeting up. What company do you work with? Great question. I'm a part of, this is mainly for our sales team, but I'm a part of, Realtor's name through brokerage. I'd love to talk further on XYZ, and then you pitch them again. Why would we need to set up an appointment? Well, you're right. I mean, you really don't need to do anything, but I'd like to set up a time further to talk about, and then you go back to pitching them on why they should set up a meeting with you. We have tenants in there currently. It's being rented. I understand. Did the tenants just come in the property after it didn't sell and as like the next best decision, or did you still want to sell the property and you're having tenants in there to cover the maintenance losses for the time being? In both cases, continue, but take notes on it. Okay, I see. And I could easily understand why having tenants in the property might deter you from attempting to sell the property again. If I may suggest something real quick, just for us to set up a quick conversation a little bit more in depth, that way we can walk you through some different ways that we sell properties that are in pretty similar circumstances to yourself with tenants in there. And obviously you're under no obligation, but just to give you all the potential options that could help if you're still in the market to sell, right? Once again, custom approach, they've got tenants in there, you can help because you sell properties that have tenants in there. I'm waiting till date, right? It's May 5th today. I'm waiting till April, or not April, that makes no sense. I'm waiting till August, right? And I can totally respect that you'd want to wait till August. I mean, out of curiosity, what's got you waiting till that date? You wait, they tell you what's got it waiting. If you say it with confidence, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Okay, and I understand that, so you want to wait because, daughter's moving out late June, so you're looking to sell and downsize around August. I got it. And that's preventing you from selling until August. And Bob, you seem like a smart man, so I'd love to at least set up a time for us to speak a little bit more in depth on your current scenario. Obviously not moving forward or anything, but just to explore those potential avenues and details before going into the actual sales process come, August. That way you're fully prepared, right? And no obligations on your end whatsoever. This is at least just going to help you, give you the full lowdown A through Z on what you can expect before you walk into that sale come, August time when you're ready to list, so that way you're fully prepared. Does tomorrow work or the day after be better? Right? No obligations. Let's just meet. You're setting the tone. This might be a 3 to 6 month nurture, but a nurture is better than no deal. We don't want to work with an agent. I completely understand, Bob. We work with agents daily, and some can be all over the place. Out of curiosity, what specifically are you not wanting to work with an agent for? They're going to say exactly what they don't want to work an agent for. Sounds good. And so, once again, I can totally respect that you're transparent about this. And my intention is not to obligate you to anything or anyone. But I would love to set up a time just for us to speak a little bit more in depth on your current scenario, just to give you all the potential avenues and details before you make any big decisions. I get it. You don't want to list with an agent. You don't want to work with an agent. But this way, you'll at least be able to see what options you have and what the next steps moving forward could be, and see all your avenues before making your decisions, so that way you can make the best one possible. Does tomorrow work or the day after be better? People are not going to be sold over the phone, right? They have to be interest piqued to set a meeting and see what you got to do, and then you over deliver on that listing presentation. But you're not trying to sell people over the phone. You're trying to get a meeting set up and trying to make sure that they're qualified as far as wanting to sell, wanting to speak with someone about selling. They're not going to be totally sold. They're not going to be objectionless. But if you can set that meeting, then in that listing presentation face to face is where you can really sell them. This is mainly for expireds, canceled, withdrawns. We give this and dozens of other things to our agents, teams, and brokerages that we work with. If you're interested and getting more appointments booked on your calendar on autopilot and getting these sales systems built out and implemented into your business with a team on our end that fulfills for it, just click the link in the description. You can schedule a call with me and my team. And if you want the for sale by owner, absentee owner, out-of-state owner, everything like that, those scripts, those objections, I'd love to give it to you. Comment down below some questions or concerns you might have. Once again, if you're interested in more appointments, click that link, learn more information about it. I appreciate you watching this video, and shoot me any questions on any of these objections so we can get you closing some deals as soon as possible. Take care. Bye-bye.